Now everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are unboxing my new MIG welder, something I am particularly excited about. Those of you who frequent the channel regularly will have seen my frustrations with not having a MIG welder because I'm having to modify cars in my front garden. So every time there's a little tiny gust of wind with the old TIG welder, it gets all emotional and throws a wobbler on me. This time around, what I did is I contacted my friend at Rambaldini Welding Services, Jake, knowing that he sells Bohler welders, and said to him, would you be interested in sponsoring the channel? And he said yes. So he's given us a bit of discount on a welding set. Jake is the only skill weld competitor from the UK to ever get podium position in the world finals. So it's safe to say that Jake knows his stuff about welding. Now he has his own welding services company, Rambaldini Welding Services, and he sells welding gear, does coatings, stuff like that, and also weld stuff. At the moment, he's on with some oil and petroleum industry stuff, I believe, pipe work. So anyway, Jake said that he'd give me a bit of discount on a welder. He talked me through it all, and in the end, because my budget is tight, I decided to go with the Bohler Uranos 2000 SMC. I was tempted by a Genesis, which is its big brother. And the difference with the Genesis is you get fancy stuff like high frequency start on the TIG side of things. You also get double feed rolls with the option of 4 feed rolls. And you also get the option of pulse synergic. And I was sorely tempted by the pulse side of the synergic system. But my budget, number one, wouldn't allow it. And number two, it'd be sort of wasted on me because I don't really do anything thick plate in vertical position and stuff like that, which is where synergic, pulse synergic really comes into play. So in the end, like I say, I went for the Uranos 2000 SMC. It's already been unboxed because I went down to see Jake to pick it up, and he gave me a run through of it while I was down there. That's the great thing about Jake being a small business. He really does look after you. So he gave me a full run through of it, showed me how to use it all. So let's crack on with unboxing it. So because we're dealing with more professional level welding equipment now, so you don't get all your regulator and everything like that included in the sale, like you would with a lower end budget, because when you start buying at this tier, you want more bespoke stuff. So what you do get is your welding lead included in the package. You can choose your size of welding lead if you go to Jake. I just went for the 150 because I'll very rarely be going over 150 amps because I'm doing predominantly sheet metal. You can go for the 250, which is a 250 amp lead, but the 150 is more than adequate for me. This is Bohler's welding lead, but basically it's a Binzel, and anybody who is in the welding industry will appreciate that Binzel is the best a man can buy, quite frankly. And the flexibility on this, it's like butter. It just bends and twists and no issues whatsoever. So when it comes to the quality of the lead, literally can't be beaten. There is an option to have controls on your lead. I'm not sure actually on this model whether that is an option, but I know on its big brother it definitely is. The smaller one, it might be, I don't know. You have to talk to Jake about that. So this is the MT150G, nice small torch, great for bodywork, getting into them small spaces. And then you get your earth lead. It's got the copper strap between the two. When you're buying a high-end machine like this, that's to be expected. It's got some lovely brass clamps, good firm grip, standard DIN connection. Not so sure about the color, the painted clamp, but that's because I'm a lazy bugger and I often end up just chucking my earth lead on what I'm welding, which is a bad habit. Don't do that. So this will actually make me clamp it onto my workpiece. So again, it's a lovely flexible lead, very flexible, brilliant. And then we've got a components list and the different model torch, the different torch models that you can get. So you got a parts list there and a manual. And then you get the main event, which is the welder itself. You also get a manual, which if you're a nerd like me, would excite you. Rambaldini Welding Services will put a 16 amp plug on for you. It doesn't come with one as standard, it comes with a European plug, but they'll put a 16 amp plug on for you. And there she is, the Bohler Uranos 2000 SMC. It is a multi-process synergic welding set. The synergic is the bit that is like a luxury to me. It makes me very happy. Let's talk about the stats first. It is at 200 amps, 35% duty cycle. 160 amps, it's 60% duty cycle. And at 130 amps, it is 100% duty cycle. That's on MIG. That's adequate for the vast majority of people who will be watching this video. Okay, so for the people like me who are just working on the cars, occasionally going up to something like 6, 8, 10 mil, something like that, more than adequate for what we're doing. Very rarely will we be going over 130 amps on the MIG process. It'll be very unusual for us to do that. So 100% duty cycle, it'll run all day, no questions asked. On the stick mode, at 180 amps, 35%, and then at 115 amps, it's 100%. And then 150 amps is 60%. Again, for a multi-process machine, those statistics are fantastic, phenomenal, really, really good. It holds a, if you open it up, I like that. I said to Jake when I went down to see it that I like that. So it almost flicks itself up when you get it to that stage, flicks itself up and locks itself into place. As somebody that used to do a lot of site welding, when you read manuals on welders, it says about how you got to use them in a level position. All right, somebody that used to do a lot of site welding, trust me, that is not always the case that happens. So you used to end up lifting these up and having to fight with it all the time because it kept falling down. That is, look at that. It's not going anywhere, that. It holds 5 kilo roll of wire. It is single feed roll, but it all feels top quality. Like I say, its big brother has a twin feed roll, and you can get the option of a 4 feed roll. And it is quick change on the rolls. It comes with the 0.8 and 1mm roll as standard. Very quick to change that roll out. Usual thing, you can adjust your wire tension. So that's standard thing, that is. As per European norms, the switch is on the back. It's a standard European thing, that is. Like I say, it comes with the Euro torch coupling. With the TIG torch side of things, when you come to fitting a TIG torch, you've got to get one that has a Euro coupling on. I'm actually going to, I think I figured out how to make my CK9 torch fit onto a Euro coupling. That'll be in a later video. So if you wanted to use your CK9, there's no issues about that, because CK are famous for their duty cycles on the torch and the flexibility. But you can get a torch from Bohler. Jake can supply that for you. Got your gas hose and all that sort of stuff. So let's quickly plug it in so you can see what synergic system is all about. All right, so we've got it plugged in, and all we do is we reach around the back side of it and switch it on. And then it goes through its little loading screen thing. And it's quiet as a mouse. and that's because it's fan on demand. So we're in the mag process at the moment, and it'll only turn the fan on when it needs it. So as soon as you start welding, the fan will kick in, and then it'll stay in for a period of time until it gets down to its nice temperature, and it'll cut the fan out again, which is actually, for me, a massive deal as a content creator, because you don't get that fan blowing in the background. But to be honest, when you're in your workshop and you're just tinkering around and stuff like that, it makes a big difference not having that fan going all the time. Also saves on electricity because that fan's not turning all the time as well. So this is a synergic set, which for you, especially for your DIY welder, is a big deal, because literally we can set our settings up by our material thickness. So 0.8 millimeters, bearing in mind this is currently set up for 1 millimeter wire. The fact that it can weld 0.8 millimeter material is quite impressive. But yeah, 0.8 millimeters, it's going to run us at 1.6 meters a minute, somewhere around 14.7 volts. Obviously that varies depending what your electrodes stick out and everything like that is. And then as you change that material thickness, let's go to 5 millimeter. It just changes those parameters for you. So we're going to run at 24 volts, 10 meters a minute. And that's how simple this is to set up. And then we can actually, so the way it works all that out is there's a computer inside, and we set our material thickness up. So we're running 1 millimeter wire, which is correct, but we're going to run pure CO2. So we put it up to CO2, and that's, hey presto, all sorted. We can even turn synergic off if you're an old school person. You just turn it off like that, and then we can turn it back on just with the press of a button. So you can set all these synergic programs that you've got, and you can then save them as different programs. So for example, this one here, while we were down there, we had a bit of a play and we saved one as body, just something near where body work, and then I can change that afterwards. But then literally flick straight over to number 2, which is example. You can save up to 8 jobs, and happy days, all of a sudden you're running on them parameters, which is really good again. So like I often work with 1 millimeter sheet material, obviously, because I'm doing body work, but then I'll move on to making like custom sills for my larders, and I make them out of 2 millimeter mild steel. And then all of a sudden I'll be doing like the rear cross member and recovery points, which will be on 3 millimeter mild steel. So I can instantly just go into my programs and just flick between those, rather than having to set up different parameters all the time. Obviously, because your parameters are also going to change depending on the position that you're in. So this is also really handy for subcontracting companies that go out on site all the time. Let's say if you had like digger buckets and stuff like that to repair all the time, and you had like the same job that was a regular occurrence, rather than relying on the operator to set the parameters up correctly, you can literally give them a job sheet and say, you know, you've got to go on to job 2. And that is it. Their parameters are now set. They've got to weld that digger bucket at those parameters. Now, obviously, you wouldn't be welding a digger bucket up at 0.8 material thickness, but it's just an example. All right. And that's how great that is. It's fantastic. Synergic systems are the future. They just, well, they're present, to be honest. Most companies are now going over to synergic. They make life so easy, so simple. So the other things you can also do is you could change your arc length, so how much stick out you want on your wire, stuff like that. You can also change your inductance, so you can create a wetter puddle or a harsher puddle, increase that weld profile or flatten it out, reduce the spatter, increase spatter if you really want to. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it just reduces that weld profile, flattens it out. You can get that convex or concave or flat profile. That's particularly useful for me on bodywork. So I'd increase the inductance. You can go right up to 30. And then reducing the inductance would create a firmer puddle and a more convex profile. a lot of people would think that to create that flat profile, you'd have to increase your volts, but you don't. You can increase your inductance, which will create a flat profile. And then, of course, you've also got your 2T, 4T. So I actually made a mistake here. I said that this was for your timed tacking or timed spot welding. It's not. It's for hot start and crater fill. So you can adjust your times at the beginning of the weld and at the end of the weld. And what that does is obviously it fills in your craters, and it also stops any large humps when you start welding. Then we've got MIG or MAG, depending which gas you're using, stick, and TIG. The stick mode isn't fan on demand, so that's literally always running on the fan. TIG mode is, and MIG mode is. And then if we go back into our synergic settings, it's quite simple. The next model up, I believe, is a bit more complicated because it gives you the periodic elements instead of the actual simple terms of mild steel, stainless steel, aluminium, flux core, dual shield, and all that sort of stuff. So you can just flick through all your different material types. Flux core no gas, flux core with gas. No gas, obviously you change your polarity because we run DCEN for gasless flux core wire. It's so simple. I mean, it's one of those things where we're going to have to spend a bit of time remembering how to save all these functions and everything like that. If you were bothered about doing that, you could literally just run it from this screen here. Just set your material type. As long as you've got your gases and your wire size right, back out of that. Just set it to your material thickness. It's so simple. It is just self-explanatory, really. And there we have it. It comes with a 5-year guarantee. I think electrical parts and whatnot have a different guarantee that's in the manual. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, unfortunately. But like I say, Jake is his own boss. It's his company, so he relies massively on word of mouth. So he'll always look after anybody who's having any issues with these. But he said to me, basically, hasn't had any issues. He's sold hundreds of these now, and just no issues at all with them. But like I say, 5-year guarantee. I am looking forward to using it, and it will be featured a lot on the channel. And each time I learn something new about it, or I do something new, I'll run you through that, like saving parameters and everything like that. On the body work on the Neva, we're going to be using the tacks, the time tack mode. So I'll run you through that. Like I say, it's going to be featuring a lot in future videos. So let's see what it's like. Jake did say, by the way, that anybody who contacts him and mentions MetalByBrian, he'll sort you out with a good price. So make sure you mention my name if you do contact him. I'll leave a link to his company, to his website in the description, and give him a ring. He's very, very knowledgeable on the subject. He'll be able to advise you and let you know what's best for you, what you need, not what you necessarily desire, but what you need. There's a big difference. So until the next one, that's it for this one. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to check out the other videos. It's all about modifying cars and everything like that. If you like what you're seeing, please like, comment, share, and subscribe and ring that bell. It's very much appreciated. And until the next one, cheers for now.